The fence line. The morning started like any other in Maplewood Estates. Quiet, trimmed lawns, and the faint smell of fresh coffee. I was sipping my second cup when I heard the unmistakable growl of machinery. My stomach sank. That sound didn't belong in this neighborhood. Not at 8 a.m. I jogged to my backyard and froze. A bright yellow bulldozer sat at the edge of my property, its metal scoop pressed against my cedar fence. And standing proudly beside it, clipboard in hand, was Karen Wallace, the head of the HOA. "Morning, Mr. Lewis," she called out cheerfully, waving like this was some friendly community project. "We're taking down this non-compliant fence today." "Non-compliant?" I barked. "That fence has been here since the property was built. It's literally on the county survey line." Karen pursed her lips, looking annoyed that I'd dared to argue. "The HOA rules are clear. Fences must be uniform. Yours extends 2 feet beyond the approved zone." "That's county land," I said, stepping forward. "You can't touch it without the county's authorization. It's not HOA jurisdiction." But she just smirked. "Oh, don't be dramatic. It's just a fence." She waved her hand, signaling the bulldozer operator. The machine roared to life. Wood cracked and splintered under the force of steel. I felt a surge of anger and disbelief. Years of careful upkeep, gone in seconds. "Karen, stop!" I shouted, running toward the wreckage. But the driver kept going until the entire section lay in a heap of broken boards. Karen scribbled something on her clipboard. "There. Compliance restored." I clenched my fists. "You just demolished property on the county border. Do you have any idea what you've done?" She blinked, clearly not understanding. "You'll thank me later. It improves curb appeal." That's when I noticed something strange. A small metal post beneath the debris. Half buried, but unmistakable. The county boundary marker. My fence wasn't just a barrier. It was the official divider between Maplewood County and Eastbrook County. "Karen," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. "You didn't just cross an HOA line. You crossed into another county. That's a criminal act." For the first time, her face faltered. "You're exaggerating." "Am I?" I pulled out my phone and snapped a photo of the demolished post. "Because that marker is registered in county records. You just ordered destruction of government property." Her confident smirk disappeared. "Let's not overreact." "Oh, we're way past that," I interrupted. "You wanted a compliance issue? You just created one for yourself, with 2 county governments involved." She stepped back, the color draining from her face as I dialed the sheriff's office. And that's when I knew this battle was just beginning. The sheriff arrives. By the time the sheriff's cruiser pulled into my driveway, a small crowd had already gathered. Neighbors stood in clusters, whispering and snapping photos of the demolished fence. Karen was pacing nervously near the debris, clutching her clipboard like a shield. Sheriff Daniels stepped out of the cruiser, tall, broad-shouldered, with mirrored sunglasses that reflected the chaos perfectly. He looked from me to the wrecked fence, then at Karen. "Someone want to tell me what in the world happened here?" I pointed straight at her. "HOA, Karen here ordered a bulldozer to take down my fence, not realizing it marks the county border." Karen jumped in immediately. "Sheriff, the HOA has authority to enforce neighborhood code. His fence was out of compliance." Daniels raised an eyebrow. "You mean to tell me you authorized destruction of property that sits on a county line?" She hesitated. "It was just a fence." He cut her off sharply. "A fence that, according to the marker I see sticking out of the dirt, sits right on the county survey boundary. That's not just private property. That's jurisdictional infrastructure. You don't touch that without a county permit." Karen's lips tightened. "There must be some mistake." "Oh, there's no mistake," I said, holding up my phone. "I've got timestamps, photos, and video of the whole demolition." Daniels crouched down, examining the twisted metal post. "That's an official boundary marker. All right. Eastbrook County's property." He stood up, expression hardening. "Mrs. Wallace, did you get authorization from either county before this work?" Karen swallowed hard. "We didn't think it was necessary. It was within the neighborhood's visual limits." Daniel straightened his hat. "Visual limits don't override county lines. You might have just committed an act of vandalism on government property, and that carries serious consequences." Her face drained of color. "Sheriff, there's no need to escalate." He turned to me. "Mr. Lewis, I'm going to need copies of those photos and your property deed. We'll open a formal report." "Already printing them," I replied. Karen tried to regain her composure. Daniels crossed his arms. You'll do a lot more than fix it. Until this is resolved, I'm placing a stop order on all HOA property actions within 50 feet of any border marker. You'll also need to appear for a hearing." Her mouth fell open. "A hearing?" He nodded. "Eastbrook County doesn't take kindly to outsiders bulldozing their lines. You'll be hearing from both sides soon." I couldn't help the faint grin tugging at my lips. For once, Karen's clipboard and confidence weren't saving her. As the sheriff drove off, she turned to me, face flushed with fury and humiliation. "You think this makes you the hero?" I met her glare. "No, Karen. Just a homeowner who knows where the lines are, even when you don't." Her jaw clenched. "This isn't over." I smiled coldly. "Oh, I'm counting on it." The county strikes back. 2 days later, I got a call from the Eastbrook County Planning Office. The man on the other end, a survey supervisor named Harris, sounded both amused and annoyed. "Mr. Lewis, we received Sheriff Daniels's report and your photos. Seems your HOA made quite the mess." I could hear papers shuffling in the background. "That fence marked an official boundary," Harris continued. "They didn't just damage your property. They violated inter-county jurisdiction." "So what happens now?" I asked. "Well," Harris said dryly, "normally, we'd issue a repair order. But since it was a private entity acting without authorization, Eastbrook County's filing a formal complaint against the HOA board." I grinned. "I'll admit, that's the best news I've heard all week." That afternoon, a white county truck pulled up outside my home. 2 officials in reflective vests stepped out, planting bright orange stakes where my fence used to stand. One of them turned to me and said, "We'll be reinstalling the official marker and measuring the damage. You'll want to stay clear until we're done." Minutes later, Karen stormed out of her house, heels clicking furiously across the sidewalk. "Excuse me," she snapped. "Who authorized this work?" The county worker looked up calmly. "Eastbrook County Public Works, ma'am. This is private property." He pointed to the post. "No, ma'am. That's county borderland. You destroyed government infrastructure. We're here to fix your mistake." Karen's face went red. "I didn't destroy anything." I couldn't resist. "You sure?" "Because I've got enough footage to fill a documentary." The worker suppressed a smirk. "Mrs. Wallace, you might want to check your HOA's mailbox. You've got 2 counties sending you certified letters." She froze. "2 counties. That's right," he said. "Maplewood County's also investigating for unauthorized use of heavy equipment in a residential zone." Karen looked like she might faint. "This is ridiculous. The HOA board will appeal." The worker shrugged. "You can try, but until both counties clear this up, your HOA has no authority within 100 feet of this property line. Consider it neutral ground." Karen stormed off, muttering under her breath. By sunset, my backyard looked like a construction zone, survey poles, boundary markers, and measuring tapes everywhere. But for once, it wasn't chaos. It was justice in progress. That evening, I got another call, this time from a local reporter who'd caught wind of the story. "Mr. Lewis." I smiled. "Be my guest." The next morning, the headline read, "HOA demolishes county line fence, faces dual investigation." By noon, Karen's phone was probably ringing off the hook. For the first time in years, the neighborhood wasn't afraid of her clipboard. People were actually laughing, waving at me, thanking me for standing up to her. But deep down, I knew Karen wasn't finished. She'd lost control, and that made her dangerous. Karen's final downfall. The following week felt like something out of a courtroom drama. Reporters prowled the neighborhood, cameras flashing, drones buzzing overhead. The HOA board went silent, except for Karen, who was desperately trying to spin the story. By Thursday, both counties had scheduled a joint hearing at Maplewood's Town Hall. I showed up with a folder full of photos, receipts, and survey maps. Karen arrived 15 minutes late, her hair perfect, expression cold and tight. She was flanked by a nervous-looking HOA lawyer who seemed to regret every life choice that led him there. When the hearing began, the Eastbrook County supervisor wasted no time. "Mrs. Wallace, can you explain why the HOA authorized demolition equipment to operate across a legally recorded county boundary without jurisdictional clearance?" Karen straightened her posture. "The fence appeared out of compliance with community standards. We acted to restore uniformity." The Maplewood official frowned. "Uniformity doesn't override inter-county law. You destroyed boundary infrastructure." A federal violation under county jurisdictional code. The HOA lawyer cleared his throat. Perhaps we can resolve this with a fine. Not just a fine, Harris from Eastbrook interrupted. We're imposing a restoration order, property compensation, and a temporary suspension of HOA operational authority pending review. Karen blinked. Suspension? Yes, Harris said firmly. Effective immediately. The Maplewood HOA has no decision-making authority until the investigation concludes. Any future enforcement actions must be approved by both counties. The lawyer whispered something to her, but she slapped his hand away. You can't do this. I am the HOA. I finally spoke up, calmly. No, Karen. You were the HOA. Now you're just another neighbor. The room erupted in murmurs. Cameras clicked. Karen's face flushed crimson. The supervisor continued. Mr. Lewis, your property will be compensated for all damages, including reconstruction of your fence, fully funded by the HOA's reserve. Appreciated, I said with a small smile. Karen turned on me, eyes blazing. You planned this. Later that evening, I sat on my porch as construction crews rebuilt my fence. The new border marker gleamed under the sunset. Neighbors came by with drinks and laughter, celebrating the end of an era. Karen's house sat dark and silent. A for sale sign appeared the next morning. As the final nail went into the new fence, Sheriff Daniels stopped by. Heard she's moving out. I nodded. Guess she finally found a neighborhood without borders to cross. He chuckled. Let's hope she checks the map first this time. For the first time in years, peace returned to Maplewood Estates. No more surprise inspections. No more threats. Just quiet evenings and friendly faces. And every time I looked at that new fence, I couldn't help but smile. Because this time, everyone knew exactly where the line was drawn.